Hello and welcome to another edition of the SportsHeads, the hurry up edition. This is a special one. Obviously, we've missed you guys because we haven't been able to talk about football for a little while now, but there's been lots and lots of going on, lots to catch up on. We brought out the big guns here, but we'll get to that in 1 second. So I'm here with my buddies, my pals, Daniel Falui and Sam Morgan. How are you guys?
Pretty good over here, except for the weather.
Yeah, Sam sort of alluded the weather in the UK sucks completely. But yeah, mate, we're good. We're back on. We're talking about football. So quite excited. Looking forward to the new season. A lot's happened. Looking forward to like my bestie as well, because now, you know, I've got another a United fan in the mix as well. Obviously, just yeah.
You're trying to ruin the relationship and the friendship that I've already got with our next guest, our special guest, Cynthia Frelund, NFL Networks. How are you?
You know, I'm doing pretty well, thank you. So you can also call me Claudia. That works as well today.
Yes. I knew you wasn't going to let that one go. I kept on calling Cynthia Claudia before we started to record, and I thought, let me get out of the way. And I thought, no, she's going to get me now.
My alter ego, Claudia. Yes.
Hey, if Beyonce can have an alter ego, I think Cynthia can have an alter ego as well.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Claudia Fierce or something like that. Yeah. So how have you been?
Pretty good, thank you. You know, just starting. We don't have a real off season, right? So the schedule release becomes a whole event. We have a whole, series of shows around it, and then now it's kind of the off season. A little bit. We're actually moving studios, so we're going to be coming to you from Network from basically across the street from SoFi Stadium. So literally we'll be able to look at SoFi, which is going to be awful on Sunday, like trying to drive home after the show that I'm on, be like, get out of my way, all you fans. It's going to be interesting. I want to go home.
People will be either applauding you for your fantasy football picks, or they'll be like, what the hell? Like, you told me to pick this guy, and now look.
It's my fault completely. If it doesn't right, it's my fault. If it goes completely right, you did it on your own. And if my recommendation goes wrong, then it's all my fault. It's all good.
Well, let's rewind time a little bit now. The dust has settled a little bit. Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff, rumors that's been going on, and picks and draft picks and so forth. But let's go back to the draft just really quickly, because it's quite an interesting one. So obviously, Zach Wilson went first, and Trey Lance went second. And then, you have, Trey Lance, I'm just rearranging the whole draft. Trevor Lawrence went
Zach
first,
Wilson,
then Zach
Trey
Wilson,
Lance.
then Trey Lance. Sorry, I'm just readjusting everything. I'm just seeing if I'm keeping you guys alert here. So, guys, I'm going to ask you guys, I'll start off with Sam. Who do you think had the steal of the draft so far?
I think the Bears getting Justin Fields at 11th. I think that's a great steal. All the way down at 11th to pick up that talent. Obviously, you were seeing when he was doing some of the smaller pro days as well, the arm strength, the movability that he has on the line. I think that's a steal. And how many times throughout the hurry up, and we've been speaking about Trubisky and the sorrows that happen in the Bears. Like, what a pickup that is for them. And I think the Bears fans can be a little bit excited. I just hope now that they can put the right pieces there to give this guy the career he probably deserves. And when people talk about chips on their shoulder, this guy is going to have a huge one for this upcoming season. So for me, that is the steal. And the most highlighted one, and actually player that I'm actually excited to see in the NFL, is still Kyle Pitts. The guy is a beast. I know we talk about Metcalf and about the power he brings obviously to the sport, but this guy, not just as a tight end, the fact that he can play in any of those positions along the way, that Matt Ryan is going to sort of rub his hands together to know that he's got someone to look at other than Julio every time. So, yeah, my two that I'm probably looking forward to at the most, without mentioning the Cardinals, obviously.
Oh, I thought that would come up, that's for sure. I'm surprised you didn't bring up earlier.
No, I will say no more.
Cynthia, get in there.
Well, look, I think I love the Justin Fields take. That's a great one. I think probably Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who's the second round pick for the Browns. Like, I love the Browns strategy. They did in free agency. They went out and they improved at the cornerback position, and then they improved in the pass rush. And then they were able to fortify that by kind of picking the same positions again in the draft. So in the first round, they went Greg Newsome at corner, and then they did Jeremiah JOK fell to them in the second. And so you're reinforcing like two really key positions. Like not every team is in a position to do this because they're missing certain pieces. But I think though that was probably the steal of the draft, just because I had Owosu-Koramoah like a first round talent. So falling to the second for such a clutch position, super important. I'm probably really excited to see. I think Miami has something special going on just overall. And Jalen Waddle is, I think, but for him getting hurt last season, and I know Devonta Smith is great. I'm not disparaging him, but it's unlikely he would have won the Heisman had Waddle been playing, because he wouldn't have been able to see the type of volume that he saw, because Waddle is so good. So I think maybe we would have been talking about Waddle as the best receiver in this draft. Obviously, Kyle Pitts isn't it, like people think he's like the prohibitive all pro. Like I'm with you on that, Sam, completely. But Jalen Waddle, the interesting thing about him is I think he's going to be really good. So I don't know, something feels special about Miami. Like I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not really sure if it's going to be Tua, to be perfectly honest with you, that puts them over the top. But there's some other people lurking out there that could be, could make them a little better too.
Dan, what do you say, sir?
I mean, it's a big shout, to be fair, and I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of great players. In terms of, if I was going to go for a steal, I think it's a hard one, but I'm probably going to go with a wide receiver, because I think the wide receiver class has been in depth, particularly, and it's talked about a lot in terms of sort of wide receivers and the people that are sort of, you talk about the Jalen Waddles, for example, and you talk about the Jamar Chase. But I think what Baltimore did in terms of Baltimore drafting the wide receiver, Bateman, out of sort of Minnesota, the Big Ten, I think that's going to be a big steal, because I think he's a big body kind of guy that would help Lamar Jackson. And I think you're going to start to see Lamar Jackson's numbers sort of increase and improve with that wide receiver as well. So I think that's going to be a good shout. And I think he will fit well into that system in what Baltimore are trying to do. So I think that will probably be one of the sort of steals of the stuff, because he wasn't one of the flashy wide receiver names that we all talked about before the beginning of the draft. So I think going into that, I think that's going to be a solid pick, and it's going to be a very interesting one, to be fair, because I think he will do really well in Baltimore.
I was looking at obviously I'm going to be a homer in this. Like obviously the Giants moved back a couple of times, and they ended up picking up. I'm going to see if I can pronounce this right now. Kadarius Toney. Now, Cynthia, what's your view on him? Because there's a lot of big talk about that maybe the Giants got the steal. No homer, but maybe they did.
I think the Giants got a good. I think the thing the Giants did that was smart was pick up equity for the future. Toney is fine. Like he's not. He didn't stand out to me as like in that spot. I think there were other people who could have also been an interesting pick for them, mostly pass rushers. It's a strategy thing. You bring in Kenny Golladay, then you're Kadarius Toney, like whatever, like, okay, like that's their decision. But I think what was more impressive was the value that they got trading to get more equity for the future. And then I really liked what they picked in the second round with Azeez Ojulari. I thought that was a better pick strategically, but so it's kind of like the net sum of both Toney and Ojulari together was really good. But, and then plus all the different, the different additional picks they got for that. But I thought that in a vacuum, Toney was, I'm going to say the word, a weird pick. So like, I was kind of like, okay, like, he's all right, but like, so I think Ojulari was more of a steal in my opinion.
Oh, okay. All right. So
you tried.
From this, Cynthia's actually tipping us to win the whole Super Bowl. I understand. You can't say, but I get it. I understand.
No, just another shout out. I think another shout out as well is with Kansas City for them getting Cornell Powell out of Clemson. I think he's a great route runner. I think he's going to be a good steal as well, because you pair him up with Tyrese on one side, you got Travis Kelce in the middle in the slot, basically. I think that's going to be quite an offensive weapon for Kansas City. So check out Powell as well.
Yeah. The interesting part about Kansas City overall is they made a really big investment in their O-line. So it's going to be interesting. The whole thing really starts and stops with that for me. The rest of this stuff, Andy Reid can create something out of nothing. So, that's great. And they want speed, and they have a profile that they like, right? They profile receiver that they like. And they've of course got the most dangerous weapon in all of football, which is Patrick Mahomes. But it's the O-line that we'll see what happens, because I like most of their picks, but Mike Remmers is not my favorite. I think he's not so great. So I mean, it'll be interesting.
So, obviously last time we spoke to him, you was really excited about like the, off-season moves, free agency effectively. And you were telling me like, wait, look out for it, which I'm going to listen to everything you say from now on, because you kind of alluded to some big things happening, and they definitely did. But I was going to ask you guys, as a round table, who do you think, what team improved the most on so far from this off season, and which team has actually been made the worst? So I'm going to start off with you, Dan. Where do you think has been beefed up the most?
I do like Cynthia when she mentioned earlier about Kansas City and the O-line. I think that was their weakness in the Super Bowl. It was very evident. Tampa's pass rush was just all over the place, and the fact that they traded Baltimore for the effectively left tackle, right tackle, where you could play anywhere across the line, is a great sort of. It was a great pick. I think you wouldn't get a bona fide Pro Bowler at that pick where they were going to do. So it was a great thing. So I do like Kansas City, and like that they've got most of their teams back, but really and truly, you're going to have to look at Tampa, because they are the Super Bowl champions. I know it's a weak pick, but they brought all their starters back. I think it's the first time, I think it's since the 70s, if I'm correct, that a team's been able to do that. So, they've won the Super Bowl. They've got Tom Brady. They've got the weapons. They've added more weapons as well. I think for me, you're gonna have to look at Tampa in terms of the best team, because you kept all your players, you kept every single person, and now with Tom Brady as well, he's still super motivated to win more. He's not going to let up. So you still got the engine driving that team, and so I think for me it's Tampa. But like I said, I do shout out to Kansas and that. I think the team that's also, and the third one will probably be Cleveland as well, because they've added greatly to that team. And now Baker doesn't really have an excuse. I know they've picked up his 50-year option. They're not really talking about a new deal just yet. So I think they want to say, look, Baker, we've given you all these weapons, win something for us now. You have no excuses. I think the team that's probably, I think there's two. I think the first one was Houston Texans. We still don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. They're just I can see Cynthia right there. They're just like, they didn't have a pick in the first two rounds. The only team to have a pick in the first two rounds. Didn't really add much to their team. I know they got the running back from Saints and Baltimore's running back. I can't remember his name now. But they got him, Ingram. But that's really it. Like they've added nothing, and I think for me that's going to be a poor one. And I think the other one as well is you have to put the Saints. You now don't have Drew Brees on the center. We've seen what Taysom Hill is all about. Is he the quarterback for your future? No, he's in his 30s. Like, he's not really done much. He's not stuff. Jameis Winston, I don't know what to think about him as a whole. I really don't. Do I think he's got the talent? Yes, but he's got the interceptions for it. I know he's had his eye surgery. If he can't beat Taysom Hill, then you just know that the Saints, I can't see anything. And with the division getting tougher, Atlanta's offense is looking superb. Tampa's Tampa, and I think that the Panthers are going to be better with Sam Darnold on the center, and in second year system as well. I think when you look at that, I think the Saints are probably one of the second weakest team going into the new season.
Sam, well, you have to pick what's left now.
I think you named every single team in the end.
Sam, what say you, sir?
No, I'll tell you what, I agree with the Texans. I think Cynthia obviously said it a little bit earlier about succession planning, and you look at the Texans obviously losing big piece. I mean, to us, losing D-Hop, losing JJ over to the Cardinals. Was there going to be method to that madness? What were they going to bring to the table to reassure the fans as well? Forget Deshaun Watson and what's going on there. There's so many other things outside of football that we can't really, I don't really want to discuss, to be honest. That for me, what were they bringing out? What else were they bringing to the table? They weren't doing that. The other surprise that I wanted to talk about was still the Steelers. They brought back Big Ben. They've gone with Juju again.
Yeah.
And I still don't think they've really, again, gone for the next level. What is next at the Steelers? I love Mike Tomlin. Great head coach for me. I love what he's done. So for me at this point, I'd back what he was doing and trust him. But if it was any other head coach, I think there'd be a lot of smoke there right now, and people sort of questioning those sort of moves at this point. Yes, they went 11-0, and then it crashed, and it's like, okay, so what have they done for me, in my opinion, to carry on doing the 11-0 and then seeing it through? I don't think they've done enough for me to sort of write home about. The Packers, the same. There's all this uncertainty around some of these teams, like with Rodgers, that they haven't really gone and done anything. And I'm not going to try and name every single team here, but in terms of the moves that have actually gone well, I actually like what the Patriots did this year. They had so many picks. Actually, there was no excuse for it, for them to not do well, obviously. And again, I think we might have a bit of an exciting division again with the Patriots with some of those moves. And yes, it is a homer pick, but a big shout out to the Cardinals. I just think that we've done really well this year. I don't think anyone can sort of go along with that. I know we bring on different guests, and over the years I've been roasted, but now I think I might have something to be excited about. And obviously, given Kyler Murray the right people on the line, we've got proper weapons, obviously, in defense as well. I think when we lost Patrick Peterson, I was like, what are we going to bring in the secondary? I think we've done quite well and covered that as well. So overall, I'm excited for the Cardinals. But yeah, I'm excited for me to see what obviously the Patriots bring back, and I'm sure the fans will be happy with all those picks that they brought in.
Cynthia, school these guys, please.
No, I mean, all of those were good picks. I'm kind of in alignment with everything. The only ones I'll add are, I think that both Miami and Carolina did some good things that, are like, Carolina's really interesting. They're kind of like this middle tier team that's like on the upward swing. So it may not pay off necessarily in this season, but they're really laying the groundwork for some really good foundational pieces going forward. I mean, Terrace Marshall Jr. out of LSU, he has a few drops, but they got him late, and he could be a really nice add in conjunction with, the people who are already there, including Christian McCaffrey returning. If Sam Darnold works out, the math on that is just really nice. And they brought in, AJ Boye, who's a corner, and then they got JC Horn. So they could be sneaky, maybe not this year, but fast forward, if Sam Darnold can get that act together, and honestly, they were picking at number 8. So it was unlikely. No, I don't think anyone thought Justin Fields would still be available. So they created their strategy prior to thinking. They thought if they were going to get someone like that, they would have had to trade up way high and then mortgage their future. And that was actually probably not, in my opinion, they made the best rational decision, right? They made a plan, they executed that plan. And Sam Darnold could be a backup now. If you think about it, it's $21 million for 2 years. So it's backup quarterback money. This year it's only $750, next year it's like 20. So, but if think about it over 2 years, that's, 11, basically 10 and a half each year. So and that's the same as Ryan Fitzpatrick. So they basically for backup quarterback money, they took a really nice swing at it. And then they didn't mind screw him. Didn't. They could have gone with Justin Fields there, but that would have messed up the whole Sam Darnold plan. They wouldn't have been able to get JC Horn, who was their favorite corner going into it anyway. So I think the Panthers, they did a really nice job, and they treated their players nicely, which is always something that's, people appreciate that. There's an Aaron Rodgers jersey behind you. You can see that what happens when they don't feel respected. So I think that was really good. I have no idea what the Seahawks are doing. They had a really weird, they're like, we're good. We're just going to let some people go. Some people will go to jail, and we're going to draft a wide receiver with one of our, I don't know what they're doing. So, that's where it falls short to me. So in addition to the ones you named, I don't think I think this is going to be a down year for the Steelers. I agree. I have the Texans I don't even want to talk about. I think they're garbage. So, none of that. And the Lions, my hometown team, also, they're not even worth bringing up because, they have a coach that gives funny pressers. But the thing came out yesterday. So there's Iowa State has a really good up and coming coach called Matt. So Matt Campbell. So I'm like, do you think that they got the wrong guy for their Campbell? He said no, and I'm like, well, we'll just go to the next.
So just stick with that.
No, Cynthia, I want to throw something to you.
Let's go. Sorry.
You mentioned Miami. Do you think they should have signed or tried to go for one of the QBs in this class? Because for me, The jury's still out on Tua.
The jury is out on Tua, but I think they have a different plan.
Nah, you see, you see, I'm listening. Last time I was like, now I'm listening because there was like a hurricane of activity after Cynthia said it the last time. I was just like, okay, I'm the oracle.
That plan, and if they get that plan, the NFL is gonna be like whoosh, and it's not Aaron Rodgers. So
you think they're gonna go for Deshaun Watson? Because I've been saying that from the get go to go for Deshaun.
Maybe they should. Maybe they should.
You see, this is I'm taking this as gospel. I'm going straight down to my bookie immediately. We can do that over here. I'm gonna do that. we touched on my favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. You know, I don't know what the hell's going on over there. It's for the last 2 seasons it's been off-season drama. It's just nonsense.
My ego's this big. Your ego's this big. My ego's this big. That's all. It's just that's all they're doing. I mean,
so tell us what you expect to happen. He's definitely laying it on. I love him to death, but he's definitely playing the fiddle here to get all the attention. So what do you reckon the move is?
Did you think this is different? Because like this feels like very on brand for him.
Every year.
Yeah, it's like they can't have nice things. Like the draft can't happen without Aaron Rodgers being talked about first. So look, I think there's 2 transactions that have to happen in order for Aaron Rodgers to go to another team. One, they have to agree on a trade, and the equity for that is very difficult. And 2, the new team has to be able to give him a contract that makes him feel respected and the situation that he wants to be in, namely a team that has the potential to make it at least contend in the playoffs, where Aaron Rodgers could put them over the top to be a Super Bowl contender. Okay, there are only a few teams that could do that. It's just that there are only a few teams with that kind of equity, both in the trade market and in the ability to create that type of contract. So in reality, I mean, look, I think here's the impasse. Brian Gutekunst, he thinks one thing, and they're kind of trying to call Aaron Rodgers bluff. Now, at some point, do you want to be the GM that let Aaron Rodgers not play, or that made Aaron Rodgers sit? Because like that sucks too, right? Because Aaron Rodgers' leverage is I won't play.
Yeah.
That's it, and that's.
But you can never see it happening. At the end of all of this stuff, you think he won't play?
I think depends on what happens. I think there's a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors because they offered him a contract. It's more than just what a contract is. Like, I think what should have happened if Brian Gutekunst was smart, he should have in the middle of last season. We all knew Dak Prescott was going to sign a monster deal. Like it's one thing for Patrick Mahomes to get the deal he got because that's a very team friendly deal, which guaranteed are pushed back to the end of the contract. To a player-friendly deal, the guaranteed money is in the beginning of the contract. Aaron Rodgers had a player-friendly deal, and now he still has time left on his contract, but the guaranteed portion's almost done. So the problem that Aaron Rodgers has is like, well, I don't have any guaranteed money, but they knew this was coming.
Yep.
You're really gonna let Dak Prescott put that the Jerry Jones comp in the market? Like, really? You're gonna let that happen before you re-sign this man? And in like several months after you inexplicably drafted Jordan Love?
It's a
mess.
And I feel that they're one decent piece away from actually going over the line, at least getting to the Super Bowl. I actually predicted they would get there the last time, and if Aaron Rodgers actually just ran 10 yards, then possibly they could have been. But guys, just real quickly, because we're going to move on to the hurry up section of that. I'll come to you, Sam and Dan. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? What's going to happen?
I think they'll flirt with each other for another few more days, but he'll end up being there. I just don't see how anyone's going to make those moves for Aaron Rodgers right now. So yeah, he stays, gets his contract, he can puff out his chest, and he'll be ready to go for the new season.
Dan?
Yeah,
I think that's what Cynthia says. I think he's going to stay because really and truly, which team will you go into? The only team that I can see him realistically go into, and Cynthia, you can correct me if I'm wrong in terms of sort of their capital, in terms of their salary cap, but it's Denver, really. Maybe Las Vegas, but really and truly, that's it. Like, I mean, when you look at it, teams that either got too much money tied up in their QB, or they don't have enough money tied up in the QB. They're going for a rookie QB, or they've got maybe a middle of the road QB, but their salary cap is basically to the limit. You know, you can argue maybe Washington should go for Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think they can afford him financially, realistically speaking. I think he would be a good shout for that, because that would be an easy win. But then again, will Green Bay want to trade him to an NFC rival? Probably not. So I think he's going to stay, really, if I'm going to be honest.
So this is the part of the show where I just gonna throw some stuff at you really quickly. I'm gonna really make sure that we rinse out every bit of knowledge from Cynthia that we can while we've got her on. So now the rust is off of me. The NFL rust is off. I'm ready to go now. So let's start doing this. Dallas Cowboys, we haven't mentioned them. It's a sin not to. You know how it works. Their head coach Mike McCarthy wasn't privy to the actual draft conversations with the prospective picks. Do you see, like Cynthia, anything going on there that actually that make them come out the East and be actually competitive seriously, or is Mr. Jones, Jerry, is he gonna mess up things for them again?
I think they'll be a wild card. I don't think that I think they'll win enough games because their schedule is garbage. Because remember, the teams who ended in the bottom half, they get a better schedule. So I think that they'll contend for a while. I don't think they'll win the division, but it's still I think Washington comes out of that division, and I think that the Cowboys have a chance to be the wild card. Good, strong chance to be the wild card. Their defense.
Really?
You forgot,
Cynthia, come
Giants,
on. You got Fitz magic.
I love Fitzmagic.
Yeah, but okay, but so my issue is Fitzmagic. I think he's like one of the kind of things where it's one season he does really well, then the other season he doesn't do well. Like, I love him, and I think he's a great fit character for the locker room. But if you depend on Fitz, that's when I feel like he struggles. Like in Miami, no one depended on him. He comes in, boom, does well. When he was like the bona fide starter, it was a mismatch.
They don't need him to do what they needed in other places because their defense is so good. So to me, it's like it's less about, they don't need him to do everything. So that defense is so good that it will carry them. And I think especially defense with a bunch of vets, with more vets, and they did get Jamin Davis. That's who the linebacker they tried, but they have a bunch of vets. That defenses with vets this year have an advantage, in my opinion, because when you look to see last year, these college guys didn't even play a full season. It's going to be confusing for them. And so and Dallas has so many young players, 8 of 11 of their draft picks are defensive picks. So they got to reach. And even with DQ, I love Dan Quinn. He's a great defensive coordinator. It's going to take a little time. And then, by the way, they'll hit the rookie wall too. After that, we got an extra game this season.
I don't know about Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator. I think when you look at what he's done well and he's built, you got to look at it. In Seattle, he had the Legion of Boom to do what he did, and he just basically played a quite basic cover.
Inherited.
Yeah, and he played basically cover 2, and he could just basically let these guys roam and just do what they do. You've got Cam Chancellor, you've got Earl Thomas, you've got Richard Sherman. You've got basically, you could play cover 2 and just leave them on an island. But in Atlanta, the defense was terrible. It wasn't the defense that was really there that was championing. It was the offensively, they were scoring points. Could we not forget the Super Bowl collapse, 28-3?
Well, that was not DQ.
Okay.
DQ call the offense there.
I mean, okay.
Yes.
I'll give you that.
See, this is what the schooling I like to see when Cynthia comes and just smacks people down. I love it.
I'm with you, but I think the thing is the Cowboys will keep it simple with that defense, and that will help them because they were trying to do too many complicated things last year.
In short, Dallas, no good. Can we just get? You guys went around a lot of houses just to say Dallas, no. Every year, Dallas. What are they going to do? It's about Dak. Are they going to do it? No. I'm going to make this short, Andre. Next year, the year after that, and the year after that, Dallas, no.
That's always good news for me.
For Jerry, yeah, good. Well, I'm sorry. Jerry Jones not going anywhere. He obviously causes a few issues. This whole thing with Dak, they could have got Dak on side last year a bit earlier and actually start to build something. There was always uncertainty, always rubbish going on around Dallas until they fixed that up. They didn't even come into conversation. Next.
So, right, okay. No, I'm with you on that. I'm fully with you on that one. So, Cynthia, let's go on to the Seahawks, Daniel's beloved team. What in heaven's name is going on there, and can they fix things to become somewhat efficient so they can get out of their division?
They've got Russell Wilson, so there's everything's possible with Russell Wilson. However, the rest of it's the defense I'm concerned about. And I know Pete Carroll defense, we got it, but I don't know. This is a tough division. This is a really tough division. Remember, part of the reason why the Niners were so bad is because they were super injured. Niners got significantly better just by virtue of getting their players back. Nick Bosa turns out probably going to make a pretty big difference. So I don't know. I'm a little scared. And the Cardinals got better, and the Rams, I don't know if I think the Rams are going to be awesome, but Matthew Stafford is a really good quarterback. So they got kind of better. They got worse in other areas. They got better at the quarterback position. Their O-line, I have no idea what to expect from, but their defense, they've got the two very massive pieces with Jalen Ramsey and, of course, Aaron Donald, the best player in the entire league. But other than that, I have no idea what to expect from them. but I think Seattle is, again, you got Russell Wilson, so you always have a chance, but that's not
a bit of a show there. Sam, get in there.
I mean, like you just said, obviously, yes, they do have Russell Wilson, but he was cooking and then he ran out of ingredients. And I think at the start of this year, he's going to be working with the old Kraft mac and cheese box, because that's all he's going to be cooking this year. I think he's got nothing else to play with. So
listen, that mac and cheese is good, though. Like, that's good, mac.
Good. Yeah, that's what I mean. But Russell Wilson is good, but it's basic. He's going to have to deal with. So that's what I'm saying. It's good mac and cheese, but yeah, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, Dan, but not sorry, because you're in our division. So I'm actually happy.
Right.
Yeah. Listen, I think the Seahawks, it was always looking like it was going to be like that. When you looked at obviously the draft picks that they actually had available to them as well, it's like, where were they going to strengthen? I think it was one of those, you knew what was going to happen this season. Take this time, let the other three battle it out and prepare for years to come. But I do hope, for the NFL's sake, that it doesn't have like a battle that we're having with Aaron Rodgers with Russell Wilson, because at some point, is he going to look at it and go, is this the place I need to be to potentially go and get that Super Bowl ring? That's all I'm thinking.
Dan looks like a broken man. What say you, sir?
You know what, my team, the disappointing thing is obviously the draft capital we gave up, but then again, you can argue that you would take as bona fide Pro Bowler over the draft capital. Obviously, like Cynthia said, we've got Russ. You got to give it to Le Chef, the Russ. You got to give it to him. You got to give it to him and what he can do and the magic he can do. I don't think it's hard, because Russ does really well in the first half of the season. The second half of the season, he seems to struggle and just for whatever reason doesn't do well. I think we haven't really added. The thing that Russ needed the most was a tight end. A Kyle Pitts type of person, a Travis Kelce, George Kittle. And until we get that, I think Seattle's offense is still going to be okay, but not great, not explosives, because DK Metcalf is a good wide receiver, but he's not the best route runner. And in the NFL, you need the great route runner. Right now, he's relying on speed and strength. But once it gets to like year 5, year 6, he's going to need to rely on his route running, and he's not the greatest. And I think we need a tight end who can run the routes, who can run the slots, who can run the intermediate, because a lot of the time in offense, it was, okay, Russell out on the shotgun, spread offense, boom, go in, run as deep as you can, and Russell throw the ball. So I think you have that sort of struggle in that regards. So to cut a long story short, I think we're going to struggle. That division is very tough. I think San Fran will probably win the division, but I still see Seattle with Russell. You're still getting the double digits wins, so I still think Seattle will probably get the playoffs. This is the division I look at the most, because obviously everyone but me has got a vested interest in it, and I can see them fighting them amongst themselves all season this season. But we will see. Right, I'm gonna go with next the NFL schedule. Everyone was really excited. This is the most excited I've seen people for an NFL schedule in a long time. Cynthia, what is the standout game for you? The one that you're looking out for?
There's a few that stand out, but the funny thing is when I see it, I'm looking for who do I think is gonna be good this year, because I want to know the ones that I like. Of course, you got like historical things. You've got, we talked about it before. I'm about to blow someone else's cover with the Tom Brady returning to the Patriots and becoming just the 5th player to like beat all 32 teams or whatever. So cool, that's awesome. But like, I'd rather see, you know, I'm actually like very much looking forward to like some things that are like some of these historical ones. Like if the Bears are any good, like Bears Packers that second time is going to be a good one. You know, or like it's like those are the I'd rather like, I don't know. I guess I'm not like, I'm a Lions fan, so I don't have any good history. So like looking for the ones that I think will be good this year. Like I'm actually curious to see like some pivotal games. I think like, you know, Arizona and Carolina, they face off. I think that one's going to be one that determines a lot. I think the first week, even with the Bears versus the Rams, that could actually be like an NFC playoff, like whoever wins that team is like wild card or not, you know, like those are things where, you know, you're really gaining some momentum in the space. Like I guess maybe I'm just like less about, like, I think Browns Ravens is going to be really good this year because I think the Browns are really good and I think the Ravens are good, but like the Browns could be better. And like, I don't know, like usually I look forward to like Steelers Ravens. This year I'm kind of like Steelers are going to suck. So like Browns Ravens it is, you know, like I'd rather watch the good teams, you know, like I think the Bills are really going to be fun to watch because I want to know if Brian Daboll is kind of like going to have enough in his arsenal to like keep Josh Allen. Part of the reason why Josh Allen's so good is because of Brian Daboll architecting that offense. You can't deny that, right? So does he have enough new tricks in his book to like, or is it, you know, once defenses start to adapt, we saw it with Lamar Jackson last year, like Lamar Jackson's a great quarterback, but once defenses start to like figure you out, it's much harder for the quarterback. So what's Josh Allen going to do? You know, like so I'm the Bills like entire schedule.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I do like what the Bills. I think the addition of Diggs has been I think for me the key point because I think that has helped Josh Allen a lot. Without Diggs, I don't think Allen was as prolific or as really as good as what stuff. So I think it's added it to that point. There's so many games to pick, and it's going to be interesting to see. I'm not really going with the Patriots versus Brady. As great as a story as that is, and as nice of a story that is, I don't know if that is going to be sort of the be or end all. I think it's going to be the talk of the season from there, from that going on. But it's really not going to be the be or end all. I think for me, the game that I'm going to be really interested in actually stuff, and it's still going to keep within sort of the division, will be the Chargers versus the Chiefs. I think the Chargers massively improved, getting Rasheed Slater on. They needed a tackle. They've got a tackle. Justin Herbert was fantastic last season. He's got the weapons. They've added a little bit more players in terms of the arsenal to the team, both offensively and defensively. I think that's going to be the challenge of that division because you've now got Josh Herbert coming in, second year. The only problem is I don't know if I can trust their head coach, rookie head coach. That's my only issue. But you know, he did give the Chiefs fits last season and came close to beating them twice. So when I look at that, I think that's going to be a very tough matchup, and that's what that's going to be on my schedule for a game to watch out.
Sam, get in there.
I'm actually going with a homer pick. Sorry, guys, but
oh Lord,
it's a bit of a sentimental one. Is actually seeing Patrick Peterson line up for the Vikings. Obviously in New Jersey for me, it's a bit of a tear. I'm sure once they play, but yeah, that's the homer one for me. And I'm not going to say this is a game I'm looking forward to, but I can't believe what I'm hearing about the Bucks and the Patriots game, where the tickets are going for like Super Bowl money, which is mental.
People miss being in. It's you know, it's a combination of people not being able to go to games, and then that game is such a massive thing.
Why? I'd not say why, but it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't be paying that sort of money for that sort of game. Come on, at that stage of the season as well. No thanks. I'm sorry. That's absolutely bonkers. And obviously it's not just Brady. Obviously Gronk's returning as well. But yeah, no, I'm sorry. Keep your money. Watch on TV. Crack on.
Well, Cynthia, over here, we've been really excited for the NFL London games. So we've got on the 10th of October, the Jets versus the Falcons. And on the 17th of October, we've got the Dolphins, playing the Jaguars, which are the London Jaguars.
Right. Say again? Where are they playing? There's a couple. They're playing at Tottenham, right?
They're playing at Tottenham. Yeah. So I want to know: are you going to be here? Because we are hoping to be able to see you in person.
I would love to. And like, the funny part is like, we don't know the schedule until the day of the schedule, like until, okay. And like, I'm lying to you. I knew the day before, but like
The Oracle, I'm telling you.
right. It's pretty much the same day. The teams that pick, the teams that go, they know, because they pick if they want to buy after or not. So those have known. So like because the Dolphins, they do not have a buy after. So some teams want that, like the Jets did, and some teams don't. So that's just always an interesting fact, I think, because of there's pretty significant travel for certain teams. I mean, not really for any of the ones that are going. It's the same as like a West Coast trip, but when you have like the Rams or whatever, like that's a heck of a trip. So I hope I can go. There being, when it comes to the different regulations in the states about different COVID stuff, like they're being so cagey with us about anything. So,
that's right.
Like we won't know. I'll have no idea until, they'll probably, if I'm able to go, they'll probably be like, hey, it's August, you're going into it. Like, okay, like I'd love to. Like it's great, of course. So,
we would love to have you down. But before we quickly wrap on the show, Cynthia, obviously it's official. Tim Tebow signs with the Jags as a tight end. Give me your thoughts on that quickly.
Okay, so Gainesville is like an hour or an hour and a half drive from the Jaguars stadium. And Tim Tebow is like basically God there. And they love selling tickets. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm maybe a little cynical, but like, I think this was very much a like, let's make sure there are butts in seats when we start this season. So if we can do this and get it together, it's a good story. I don't know. I think I don't think he's going to play. I mean, he still hasn't made the team. Just because he's signed doesn't mean he makes the team. So I think it's stupid. I think I actually I get really annoyed with all the fake stuff in the NFL, yesterday, Nick Sirianni, the coach of the Eagles, or not yesterday, but a couple weeks back, he was saying something like there's a quarterback competition with Jalen Hurts. And yesterday, Jalen Hurts was asked about that. And Jalen Hurts was like, oh, I have to earn it. Rent's due every day. And okay. Like all that stuff. But I think some of it is sleight of hand, right? I watched Die Hard with a Vengeance, on New Year's. And I was like, wow, this is the meaning of life. We're going to show you this, but really it's over here. So I think it's all sleight of hand. I think they just want to sell tickets and they want some hype. And I think Urban Meyer can't think of anything more creative than bringing back people in that area of the country. I'm telling you, they go bananas for Tim Tebow. They're like, it's God. We saw it's Christ himself. So, that's, they love it. So they'll be inclined to buy tickets and, might as well capitalize on that hype train. Choo choo.
Well, if you're over here, fingers crossed you are. I'm going to be nice about it because I want to be in the corporate boxes. So Jaguars, that's a great move as far as I'm concerned. Sam and Dan, last word on it.
I'm not saying any more than that. I think it's bonkers. Another one. What is going on? I'm Mr. Hospitality myself, but I still think that no. What are they doing? There's so many other players that are probably sitting in the background going, "How am I not getting into an NFL team right now?" So, yeah, but Cynthia's nailed it. There's a PR stunt there, and it will work well. Like you say, bums on seats.
Dan, last one on this.
Last one, and I'll keep it quick. I think it's silly. I think you're depriving someone of a perfect opportunity to get into an NFL team. We've seen so many free agents come in and do well and become Hall of Famers. So I think I don't like the idea of that. I also don't like the idea of the optics. I think you send a bad message to the locker room. I think Urban started off his NFL career badly. He had that strength coach. He signed and people told him not to. And then he goes and sacks him anyways after the backlash. It's not college anymore. And I think he needs to get over that. In college, he had all the say-so and power because he can decide these kids' futures. These are grown men earning a wage. You got to treat them a lot better than what you're doing now. And I think he hasn't done that. I think my shot, and I don't think he's going to be stopped. I don't think Urban's going to last for the season.
Really?
No.
Well,
I think there's going to be a player revolt. I can't see him. He's not lasting more than 2 years in Jags. I think he's gone by the end of the season. Personally,
I noticed that Sam is just realized that the warmth that is inside the boxes and the food that they serve in there. You know, I'm gonna be, you know what, like, you know, Urban Meyer, I every decision you make, I'm gonna, you know, give you a fair crack of the whip with. And the Jaguars organization, I think you're a top-notch organization. And if you want to have me, you know, host me, then that's not a problem at all. Cynthia, it has been amazing to have you again. Please, can you come back on again during the season or before the season, whenever you want? You have a home here permanently. Thank you again. Where can people find you again?
Frelund on Twitter, and then Cynthia Frelund, all one word, on Instagram. It's real exciting here. I don't know. Me and my social media, I sit there and I'm kind of like over it.
No, I'm sorry. You still got major points for that trick you did with the soccer ball. You know,
like that. My soccer career really pays off now in tricks. Like, it's weird, like the weird physical tricks that, like, I know weird physical. Like, I do, like I did the, you know, the combine. I tested my vertical. Oh, it was bad. It was really bad. But those are always my fun. Like, I'm not afraid to make fun of my, like, I'm not an athlete. Like, I mean, like, I'm not I'm not good at jumping. Like, what are you talking about?
Sam can surprise us. Sam, we did our own you know, version of it over here, and then Sam actually surprisingly could jump quite high. I've never seen. You would never think it when you see him.
Also, a 50-yard field goal.
Oh,
just
God.
saying.
I was surprised. Like, I tried to do it in like regular sneakers. I should have done it in cleats. My foot was burning after. Like, I was like, damn, this hurts. Like, I was like, what did I just do? I'm like, how old am I? Like,
I'm going to remind you of this when you're ragging on one of the kickers who missed the field goal during the season.
My theory is that they should probably not kick field goals. Like, I would, like, you know, we the analytics people, we all have like these debates on how, like, what you should, like, strategically and statistically what you should do. And for in a lot of ways, like, I don't know, like, if you have a 53-man roster, you could put an extra, like, linebacker on there. You might actually, or like an extra corner. Like, there are some like really strong cases, especially for, like, my Ravens friend and I get into a fight with all the time. And obviously Ravens had a really, their offense they scored a lot of points last year. And he's like, if we could have had another corner, we would actually probably been just fine, because, like, they had like a 7 or 8 point differential. He's like, we didn't need the field goal. We needed he's like, we'll go for 2 on every single one. And it's inconceivable people would lose their minds, but it's like, I don't care about them missing. Like, that happens. Like, it happens for all of it. It just, you know, it's an interesting.
Each time you're on here, you blow our minds and you give us something to think about. We always
waste my time on nonsense, and then I bring
you give us more to think about, and then now we're going to be looking at all moves in Miami, definitely, because oh God, I'm November, I'm coming, please God. But guys, thanks again for hanging out with us, and then thanks for listening to us on our podcast, on audio. Check out more sports that we have, loads of sports, simply too much of them, on Alternative Sport on Instagram, and then you have us at vergemagazine.co.uk. But until then, I will see you guys the next time. Peace.